Good day or good evening. Welcome to the 15th episode of Creation, Genesis, and Origins. I'm Dick Fisher. My co-host Ken Miller is with me. Ancient Hebrew chroniclers surmise Noah's family remained concentrated near the mountainous region where the ark landed. There Noah planted his vineyard. According to Jubilees, Noah's three sons divided themselves into three different cities named for their wives, and their respective families grew over 350 years until the death of Noah. Jubilees continues, and he called his name Peleg, for in the days when he was born, the children of Noah began to divide the earth, or land, amongst themselves. For this reason he called his name Peleg, and they divided it secretly amongst themselves, and told it to Noah. And it came to pass that they divided the earth into three parts, for Shem, for Ham, and Japheth, according to the inheritance of each. And he called his sons, and they drew nigh to him, they and their children, and he divided the earth, or land, into the lots, which his three sons were to take in possession. And they reached forth their hands and took the writing out of the bosom of Noah their father. Not until Noah died did his sons and their families venture forth to live in the lands and territories to which they were assigned. Possibly Noah could have seen the warlike tendencies of his people and decided to put some distance between them. Noah trusted Shem with his testament, and he was laid to rest in the region where the ark landed 350 years earlier.
It is important to note here that in strict order of presentation, the dispersion of Noah's descendants comes about in Genesis 10 and is completed in that chapter. The Tower of Babel incident in Babylon follows in Genesis 11 and pertains to those in the line of descent from Shem to Arphaxad, not to Noah's entire horde of children. Noah's sons remained close to the ark's landing site, living in three individual cities.
Quoting Louis Ginsberg, who wrote Legends of the Jews, in turn, the three sons of Noah, while they were still standing in the presence of their father, divided each his portion among his children. Noah threatening with his curse any who should stretch out his hand to take a portion not assigned to him by lot.
Japheth had 7 sons, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tyrus. The geographic area of Japheth's descendants encompassed ancient peoples located west and north of Mesopotamia, who dwelled primarily in regions adjacent to the Aegean, Black, and Caspian seas. Mainly, they became additions to the Indo-European family of nations that were located from the south coast of Europe to Persia.
It has been a great temptation among Bible scholars to reverse the order and send all of Noah's kin to Babylon first so they can get their languages scrambled before they scatter to repopulate the world. This, like most temptations, should be avoided. It is generally accepted that the Japhethites settled initially in the immediate vicinity surrounding the Mediterranean Sea, with some working their way into parts of northwestern Europe and the British Isles. The islands mentioned in Genesis 10 and elsewhere in the Old Testament were the islands and coastlands of the Mediterranean on the European shore from Asia Minor to Spain. Whether they conquered the indigenous populations who had been living in these designated areas of land, or whether they found vacant land to occupy, or whether they were simply assimilated into the surrounding culture, is not known, and the circumstances may have varied from tribe to tribe.
Although the initial home of nearly every grandson, great-grandson, and tribe named in the Table of Nations in Genesis 10 has been located, and we will discuss only a few of the more notable among Noah's family. Genesis 10:6 names the sons of Ham as Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan.
One of the popular misconceptions is that the black Africans derived from Ham's generations. Racial divides in the human race took place gradually with geographically isolated populations over an extended period of time, tens of thousands of years earlier to this point in history. Skin pigmentation is related directly to latitude and availability of sunlight, with skin color affecting absorption of vitamin D. The notion that any of the races commenced with Noah's 3 sons is badly mistaken.
The descendants of Cush are identified with eastern Mesopotamia, Arabia, southern Asia, and Ethiopia. The Kassa is mentioned in cuneiform inscriptions dwelling in the border country between Elam and Media. Assyrian king Sennacherib, who reigned from 705 to 681 BC, described this area of one of the Kushites, modern Kazakhstan in Iran, as difficult to traverse and not subdued by any of his predecessors.
Although the Kushites or Kassites settled in western Iran initially, this turned out to be a perilous location, sandwiched between the warring Assyrians, Elamites, and Babylonians. Eventually, some, or perhaps all, relocated to the area that is now Ethiopia, where they could live in relative peace.
Among Cush's sons were Seba, Havilah, and Nimrod. Seba was founder of the Sabaeans, dwelling in the southwest corner of the Arabian Peninsula, and is associated with Nubia and Egypt. Isaiah, quoting God in Isaiah 43:3, says, "I gave Egypt for thy ransom, Ethiopia and Seba for thee." It was in connection with their caravans trading incense, precious gems, and gold that the Sabaeans became known to Old Testament prophets.
The land of Havilah is Saudi Arabia today, from whence came gold and fragrant gums, and Havilah was one of the lands named in Genesis 2:11, out of which flowed the Pishon River that bordered the Garden of Eden. Further identifications are clouded as confusion exists between Havilah from Cush through Ham and the son of Joktan, also named Havilah, who descended from Shem.
Nimrod was the famous king who ruled over Babylon and decreed that the tower would be built. Genesis 10:8 says, "And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth." Nimrod was called a mighty hunter, and the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar.
Babel, of course, is Babylon. Erech is the Sumerian Uruk, for which the country of Iraq was named. The city of Akkad has never been found. Calneh we know as the ancient city of Nippur, and Hebrew Shinar we know as Sumer. The Nebu temple was excavated at the city of Nimrud. Nebu was the god of writing and speech.
Josephus declares, "Now it was Nimrod who excited them to such an affront and contempt of God. He was the grandson of Ham, the son of Noah, a bold man and of great strength of hand. He persuaded them not to ascribe it to God, as if it was through his means they were happy, but to believe that it was their own courage which procured that happiness. He also gradually changed the government into tyranny, seeing no other way of turning men from the fear of God, but to bring them into a constant dependence on his power. He also said he would be revenged on God if he should have a mind to drown the world again. For that, he would build a tower too high for the waters to be able to reach, and that he would avenge himself on God for destroying their forefathers.